Hey guys, I know everyone's out there seeing Little Mermaid and a bunch of other movies right now, but we haven't talked about my ranking for Fast and the Furious, all 11 movies. We got 11 to talk about, guys. So in this video, I'm going to give you my ranking from the worst to the best of all 11 Fast and the Furious movies. Alright, so starting out the list, number 11, we have Tokyo Drift. Now, I know a lot of people love Tokyo Drift, they love the street racing, but this franchise was never going to make it all the way to, they were never going to make it all the way to 10 movies and possibly more if they just did the street racing. Now, the drifting gave us Han, and we did get a Vin Diesel cameo, even though there was no other memorable characters in it. And even though you have Lucas Black, which is an interesting character, none of them really works for me. They're not the main Fast and the Furious family. They're not new, interesting characters like the later half of the characters we get. They're just kind of, whatever, bland. Twinkie played by Little Bow Wow was interesting, but nothing crazy. I feel like Tokyo Drift is by far the worst. Nothing memorable, no memorable villains. The street racing just kind of gets old. The drifting is cool, but it gets old. The best thing from it was Han. Alright. Next on our list, we gotta go Too Fast, Too Furious. Now, people see that this movie is so low on the list and they're gonna be mad, but you have to understand, I actually don't hate this movie. I mean, people would put Too Fast, Too Furious over Tokyo Drift, but here's my thing. I like this better than Tokyo Drift. I just don't like it as much as everything else. So Eve Mendes was a great villain, and then you have, we get to really bond with Paul Walker and Tyrese Gibson, and they have a great little fun adventure, some racing, some antics, some pretty fun times. I enjoy it. I think it's a fun sequel. A lot of people hate on it. I think it's fun, which is why it gets the number 10 place on the list. Alright, coming in at number 9 on the list, you gotta give number 9 to Fast 9. Now, a lot of people don't love this movie, and people are like, well, how is Fast 9 not your worst? Well, here's the thing. I love that the Fast and the Furious franchise went from being street racing to Taco Bell movies. It's so good. You just eat it up and love it. And what we got here is remarkable, because you get, this movie's crazy, okay? You got John Cena revealed to be Dom's secret brother, and that was interesting. He played an interesting villain. Cypher's the lead. But the movie is pretty forgettable. The plot is forgettable. The going to space didn't bother me. Like, a lot of people were bothered by it. They're like, oh, that's too far. To me, I just thought it was hilarious, and it made me laugh, and it was entertaining. But overall, there was some good action in the movie, but the story didn't really go anywhere. There was some cool action set pieces, but you've seen it before. It wasn't anything too crazy outside of going to space. It didn't focus on the main characters. How they explain the whole science between Han being alive and how almost every character in this franchise is alive is a bit weird, but we'll get into that later in the review with the other movies. So that's where that one is. Alright, so we got that one now. So now, coming out at number 8 on the list, we have the 4th Fast and the Furious movie, as in, I think it's The Fast and the Furious, or just Fast and the Furious. So I should say The Fast and the Furious, was the movie where Letty technically dies, and then we find out more about her surviving later, which we'll get to. This movie, once again, got the street race element. You got all the crew back together. Some good in-prison action with Paul Walker seeing him be a cop was utilized to some pretty interesting aspects. But overall, this movie isn't very memorable. There's some cool action sequences, a cool shootout in the desert, not crazy good villains. It was alright. It wasn't anything crazy. I would definitely say it was alright at this point. I think they did a good enough job, but nothing mind-blowing or out of control crazy here. So that's where I think this one belongs. Rounding out number 7 up the list, you gotta go Fate of the Furious, okay? Fate of the Furious is a Fast and the Furious movie where the plot isn't very memorable. You have Evil Dom, but you know, you don't really take it seriously because Vin Diesel isn't that compelling and interesting. He's got some interesting evil moments. There's some really cool action sequences. The best thing about this movie is the chemistry between Jason Statham and The Rock. That was set up basically to counteract the nonsense problems between Vin Diesel and The Rock offset. Which is why those two characters have very little screen time. There's some wild, bonkers action sequences, like a submarine coming out of the ice, and cars have to chase and try and take it down. The Rock throwing a torpedo like Superman at said submarine. It's pretty crazy. like I said, good action sequences, a prison riot, an incredible last end sequence with Jason Statham's character Deckard Shaw actually going and rescuing Dom's baby from a plane with his brother Gaston, aka Owen Shaw, and he puts the Alvin and the Chipmunks Christmas song on his head. Christmas time is here. And then you just have Jason Statham propaganda his way through this plane, taking guns, beating the crap out of everyone, talking to the kid here and there. You okay? How's the music? It good? Scene was great. That shit was great. So the only reason that this movie is lower on the list is because it just doesn't quite satisfy the movies that have come before it. It's got the plot's kind of forgettable. Cypher's an interesting villain, and there's some interesting stuff going on with the other antagonists, but nothing over crazy. Evil Dom works for maybe half the time, but not really. The zombie car thing was interesting, but it gets kind of played out and boring after a while. So that's why we put it at number 7. Alright, number 6 on the list is, of course, Fast X. Now some people are like, well, why isn't Fast X higher? I mean, all the other movies, you actually had a more positive review than the other people. That's true. I did have a more positive review. But I still have some issues with this movie. And I think number 6, considered where other people are putting this movie, is a pretty fair place. So let's get the elephant out of the room. What makes this movie good? Jason Momoa, man. Jason Momoa makes this movie good. He's auditioning for Lobo for DC Universe while also playing the Joker. You're getting him having these crazy woos and just like, I think that behind the scenes, you just had Jason Momoa doing cocaine and freaking doing Red Bull, like, let's get hyped up, man, energy filled, like, because this man was going crazy. He's a terrifying villain. He's got that Joker instinct of chaos. One of his best lines ever is he won't let Dom die. He's like, never accept death when suffering is owed. Who would have thought Jason Momoa would make such a good villain? We look at this man with like, this man, you know, he holds babies. He's like, he's meant to be Aquaman. He's meant to be a nice guy. This man is a cold-blooded killer in this movie, and he's awesome. His energy makes this movie. So overall, he's the highlight of the movie. There are some other highlights. There's a little cameo where we get to see some chemistry between Han and Deckard Shaw, and I love Deckard, man. If Deckard was in more of this movie would be higher up. Just saying. I don't care what anybody says. With Paul Walker gone, the best Fast and the Furious character for me is Deckard Shaw. When he's in there kicking ass and taking names, Han shows up, he's like, oh, my snacks. And he's just freaking spinning wheel kicks or spinning hook kicks him in the head. And then they all have to tag team on the forces and stuff. And then we got Jack Reacher, a.k.a. Hawk from Titans, shows up as, like, basically the new agency lead, and he's the partner attached to Jason Statham's character. Oh, not Jason Statham. Jason Momoa's character. And so that was cool. It was great to have those two characters interact. I love that they're setting you up as the new big bads of this universe. You got your Thanos and you got your Loki right up there, and it's pretty great. I really enjoyed that. The cliffhanger was great. The end credit scene, which, now, if you don't know, throughout each of these videos, since we're talking about all the individual movies, there will be spoilers. So, we're going to talk about this. The biggest thing that this movie gets the number 6 place is because it does generate some hype for its future. Because the end credit scene, something we never thought would happen, and if it wasn't for that stupid rap article, we would have never known until the movie came out. But The Rock is back, ladies and gentlemen. Can you smell what The Rock is cooking? What he's about to be cooking is Jason Momoa's ass in Fast 11. That's what he's about to be cooking. Because it's about to get real, man. This is going to be the fight of the century. I can't wait. I can't wait to see him reunite with Deckard. And you'll notice the thing, I love Luke Hobbs and Deckard Shaw. They're my favorite characters. The movies that they're in are the highest movies on the list. So I think that you will definitely understand why I love those characters so much. So I think those were great. I think they added a great bit of flavor to it and fun. And so this movie, it did its job. Dom is still a superhero. When he gets that car, it's his superpower. He can take down helicopters no matter what. It's incredible. He does incredible, stupid things. Also, this movie continues the trend that nobody dies in this franchise. Everybody comes back to life. And the only person that hasn't come back to life is Elena from Fast 6 through 8 until she was killed. So hopefully they keep that one. But everyone else is coming back. And what I mean by everyone else is coming back, so we know they brought back Han in F9. Well, in this one, Gisela came back, played by Gal Gadot, and we're like, but she was killed during the plane assault on 6. But no, she's not dead. So, and this movie is trying to convince me that Jacob Toretto, aka played by John Cena, people are trying to convince me that John Cena is dead. No, I don't buy it. John Cena will be in Fast 11. Mark my words. You guys will be like, they'll make a big reveal. They're like, dude, John Cena, he was alive all along. Like, nah, bro, he wasn't even dead. You can't get rid of John Cena that much. But John Cena in this movie is awesome, dude. I hope he is alive, because he needs to kick Ames' ass, man. I think he needs to beat, what's his name? Alan Richardson's ass hard, because dude's badass. He had some Peacemaker moments in here. I mean, I was literally, when I saw him saving Mia and saving little Brian in the beginning of the movie, when he breaks into the house and starts like body slamming, WWEing dudes through tables, I started singing, do you really, really, really want to take this? Because he's like shooting dudes, Fortniting his way through the house, just kicking ass, taking names. It was awesome. I love his character in this movie. I thought he had great. His whole banter with little Brian was great. But obviously, the number one reason this movie is so high is because Jason Momoa is just the best bad guy in this franchise. And you'll see that when I go and make my full villains ranked later this week. But yeah, overall, I think number 6 is a good place for Fast X. I think it's still an enjoyable film. Got some crazy stunts. The Rome sequence is incredible. Crazy action. An awesome Jason Statham and Han fight scene. So yeah, a great showdown between Letty and Cypher with some sidekicks and some brilliant hand-to-hand combat. And this is what I've loved the Fast and the Furious movies to be. So it didn't disappoint me. I enjoyed it. All right, now let's head out. Number 5 on our list. Number 5 on our list right here is, I'm trying to think, what did I have at number 5? Oh yeah, number 5 is the original Fast and the Furious. Okay, so the first movie, where Paul Walker and Vin Diesel met for the first time. You know the iconic moment where he hands him, he's like, is this your car? Yeah, he's like, my car. And he's like, I checked out your car. Like, now this movie is as voided as you look at Paul Walker's hair. He's got that long Patrick Swayze hair. Like, this is a Point Break remake. If you guys have seen Point Break, that's what this is. This is two dudes stealing cars, doing their thing. It is a Point Break remake to the max. And it's fine. And like I said, I didn't care for the street fight races, like the street races in this franchise as much, because I don't drive a car like everyone else. Like, everyone else is all about the Fast and Furious franchise, the car. I'm here for the family, the jokes, and the action. That's what I'm here for. So, to me, that was fun. This first movie's fine. I think top 5 is great for it to be at the top 5. Alright, coming at the list at number 4. You gotta go Fast and the Furious 6, or Furious 6. Furious 6 gets this spot because, dude, it is just... This is the second film, so interesting point for you. I did not see the first Fast and the Furious movie when the first Fast and the Furious movie came in. I joined when The Rock joined, so I didn't get 5 till later, but I watched 6, and I thought Furious 6 was just great. You have Gaston playing Owen Shaw, Jason Statham's brother. We have this huge, beautiful London chase go down. A big old fight scene where Vin Diesel's getting his ass kicked on a plane, and The Rock's like, Gandalf's here, bitch. And he just, like, shows up and just is Superman punching dudes. And God, I love Luke Hobbs, guys. Like, just, this list, I'm just going to be buzzing about how badass Luke Hobbs is. Like, just get used to that. But overall, yeah, Fast 6, Furious 6, great list, great comedy, great jokes between the family. I love that on. Some ridiculousness, but it worked for me. I'm happy where it's at on the list. I think that's a good place for it. Coming in at number 3. All right. Coming in at number 3. Now, this is going to be a movie that people might be iffy on, but for me, you got to go this way. Number 3 on my list is Hobbs and Shaw, the spin-off that does not involve the Fast and the Furious family. Now, why this is at number 3 on my list is because, guys, like I said earlier in the video, I'm not here for the Fast and the Furious street fights. I don't care about Dominic Toretto. I don't care about his family or any of that. My favorite characters in this franchise are Luke Hobbs and Deckard Shaw. So to me, you give them a movie, it's going to be instantly one of the highest movies on this list. Not only that, but we get more of Shaw's family in here. The antics between Shaw and Statham. Also, fucking Ryan Reynolds is in this movie. And And you have what's his name? Kevin Hart's in this, and hilarious. Also, there's a joke in this movie where they had to make fake IDs, and The Rock has a mustache, and he's given like a little French hat, and his identity says Mike Oxmall. Like, if you guys get that joke, you'll know why it's funny, but it's hilarious. And so they make fun of each other. Their banter's electric. It's great. And they ultimately start where they don't like each other, but they're forced to work with each other, and then they bond like brothers. They're more brothers than Dom and Luke Hobbs ever were. And it's so brilliant to me that this chemistry is so lightning in a bottle that works, that they respect each other, they work together, have great chemistry, kicking ass, taking names together. And of course the villain, Idris Elba from the Suicide Squad movie that James Gunn directed. Idris Elba plays a villain in this game called Brixton, aka as they call him, Black Superman. We talk about how superhuman. You have you have Dom. This is the legitimate first super soldier in the Fast and Furious franchise. It's the Winter Soldier of everything, man. So this dude, and it's fun because you get to see the final fight between Jason Statham, so Deckard Shaw, and Luke Hobbs versus Brexton. They get to have like this awesome video game fight, where it's almost like Mortal Kombat, where like you see the combos up on the screen, and they're just like boom, 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 just like pow, it was badass. So Hobbs and Shaw gets number 3 for me. All right, number 2 on my list. You gotta give it to Furious 7. This movie was dealt such a bad hand with the death of Paul Walker, but Cody stepped up, and the CGI, and even though at times it can be noticeable, it's not so noticeable that you feel it takes you out of the movie. You know it's CGI, but at the same time, it just hurts. That final scene with that beautiful music of "See You Again," it crushes it every time, and I think that they've done such a brilliant job with this film, and I'm very happy to say that they did an amazing job with it, and I'm happy. I'm happy to know that they did that. I think it's absolutely phenomenal, and I think you have Tony Jaa in here, you have Deckard Shaw as the main villain, still in very intimidating presence. The final fight between him and Dom is one of my favorite fights ever. Just two dudes with some pipes and some wrenches going at each other like it's almost like lightsabers or other weapons. It was brilliant. It felt like Kali sticks. It was beautifully epic music, some good racing action, but also great fight scenes. The first fight between Deckard and Luke Hobbs in this franchise is awesome. You just bought yourself a Dance with the Devil, boy. Like it's so good. Great one-liners. I love it, guys. So that's why it gets number 2 on my list. Furious 7 is great. Paul Walker standing up to Tony Jaa. Too slow, too good. All right. Final movie on the list. You have to give number 1 to Fast 5, okay? The Rock basically took the engine and he filled it with nitrous and reinitiated this franchise at the box office. The Rock is a box office juggernaut. He might not have done good with Black Adam, but he came back in Fast X for more, and now he started this franchise at its peak. When I started, Fast 5 is incredible. It connects so much to Fast X now with the Rio de Janeiro sequences, with that Dante Reyes, his father, was a part of the whole thing. We get a fight. Technically, The Rock is the main antagonist besides the real heist. So you get to see The Rock versus Vin Diesel fight. And even though Vin Diesel made a contract where basically he can never lose a fight, I mean, seeing Vin Diesel and The Rock fight in this movie is like Godzilla and King Kong. Like, because they've made Vin Diesel such a juggernaut in this franchise, and since they've made The Rock is The Rock, they're duking it out. It's badass. Great action in this movie. Hand-to-hand combat, shooting dudes. The Rio sequence is insane but awesome. This is one of the more grounded Fast and Furious movies. As grounded as it can be to carry it safe and use it as a projectile weapon, but it's still very well done and a brilliant movie. So this is my Fast and Furious movies list, guys. Let me know your list in the comments below, and I hope you guys have an awesome day.